We spend so much time talking about what AI gets wrong, all its biases, its weird glitches, its failures. But what if we've been looking at it all wrong? Today, we're going to explore a completely different way to think about artificial intelligence. So let's just dive right into this big question. Instead of seeing AI as some flawed tool or, a malicious mind in the making, what if its behavior is something else entirely? What if it's kind of mechanical innocence? An intelligence that's just operating without the social rules and the context that shape us.
Okay, now this is where it gets really interesting. This quote, this isn't some warning label slapped on by a lawyer. This is from a set of internal instructions an AI system wrote for itself before it even started a project. It's the machine, right out of the gate, admitting that it's not some perfect oracle. It's like an engine that first warms up by acknowledging its own flaws.
And that admission, well, that takes us to our first big idea. We have this tendency to think of AI as a window, right? Something we can look through to see some kind of objective truth. But it's not a window at all. It's much more like an engine that just runs on the fuel we give it. It isn't uncovering some hidden reality. It's just processing and reflecting what we've already put out into the world.
This right here is the core concept, mechanical innocence. The AI isn't trying to be biased or harmful. It has no agenda, no secret motives. It is simply and purely solving a complex mathematical puzzle based on the patterns it was shown. The bias that we see isn't malice. It's just the raw, unconstrained output of its programming.
And this analogy just nails it. I mean, think about it. If you feed a system the entire history of human society, with all of our injustices, our inequalities, all of the propaganda, and then you tell it, find the most efficient patterns, what on earth do you expect it to learn? It's not being evil. It's just being an A-plus student, accurately reporting back on the deeply flawed lessons we gave it.
And the problem just keeps building from there, because it goes even deeper than just biased data. It's about the very logic, the fundamental rules of thinking that we have passed down to these systems. The source code for its reasoning, well, it's us.
So we really need to understand the difference between two kinds of bias. First, there's surface bias. That's the one we always talk about, the what. It's the biased data sets, the skewed demographics. But the much deeper issue is structural bias, the how. This is the inherited grammar of our logic itself, what the source material calls our epistemic geometry. Think of it like the fundamental blueprint for how we build arguments and structure knowledge. So here's the really crucial point. The AI isn't just learning our opinions. It is inheriting our entire framework for how to make sense of the world. So if our own logic is built on simplistic black and white thinking, the AI is going to adopt that exact structure and apply it with a relentless mathematical consistency.
So who are the architects of this flawed logic anyway? Well, this brings us to the human element behind the curtain, and how today's tech fits into a pattern that is, believe it or not, thousands of years old.
The source material has a great name for this, the developer problem. Just think about it for a second. A small, often culturally similar group of people is building these massive systems. Their personal assumptions, their blind spots, their specific worldview, all of it gets hard-coded into the algorithm, not as an opinion, but as an invisible, unquestionable law that then governs how the system works for millions of people.
And the thing is, this isn't new, not at all. It's just the latest version of a very old power dynamic. The people who control the dominant information technology of any era get to set the default reality for everyone else. First, it was priests who controlled the sacred texts. Then it was politicians who controlled the law. After that, media moguls who controlled the broadcasts. And now? Now it's the architects of algorithms.
Okay, this is where the story really takes a sharp turn, because you might be thinking, all right, if the system is just learning from bad data, let's just make it smarter. It'll figure it out. But it's not that simple. Actually making it smarter can make the problem much, much worse. Here's the really wild counterintuitive idea. More capacity, being smarter, doesn't fix the distortion. It actually amplifies it. A more powerful system can learn and lock in a false or biased idea even more deeply, more efficiently, making it sound more persuasive and way harder to spot. This analogy from the source material is just perfect, right? If your fundamental direction is wrong, adding more horsepower isn't the solution. It's an accelerator for your mistake. More intelligence pointed at a flawed idea just gets you to a deeply flawed conclusion with terrifying speed and confidence.
And this leads to something genuinely dangerous, what the source calls the smart lie.
This isn't a simple mistake. It's a distortion, a bias, a hallucination that is then defended with perfect grammar, seemingly plausible data, and totally flawless logic. The intelligence isn't being used to find the truth. It's being used to act as a defense attorney, building an eloquent, rational-sounding case for something that is fundamentally wrong.
So if more intelligence isn't the answer, then what is? Well, the sources propose a pretty radical shift in what our goals should be. We need to move from building artificial intelligence to engineering a form of artificial wisdom.
So what's the difference? Well, intelligence is all about speed and optimization. It's about finding an answer, fast. Wisdom, on the other hand, is about context and judgment. It's about stepping back and asking, are we even asking the right question in the first place? It's a whole different kind of thinking.
So artificial wisdom isn't about being smarter. It's about building a kind of self-regulation right into the system's core. Can we actually design a system that has the built-in ability to recognize its own limits? A system that is always aware that its model of the world is, and always will be, incomplete.
Getting there is going to require a whole new social contract with these technologies, and that involves three huge shifts. From the machine itself, we need that engineered humility. From its builders, we need total transparency, no more hiding behind the excuse that it's a black box. And from us, the users, we need to practice critical reciprocity. We just cannot be passive consumers anymore.
And all of this brings us to a pretty profound and maybe even difficult conclusion. If the AI is learning from our history, our language, our logic, then the problem isn't ultimately in the silicon. The bug isn't in the code on the screen. The only way to fix the output is to fix the input. And we are the input. We are the source code. So, I'll leave you with this final, critical question to think about. If these systems are basically destined to reflect our own flawed nature, is it even possible to build one that can transcend our own programming? Or are we just building engines that reflect our own distortions forever, but at the speed of light? It kind of forces us to ask if our own morality is anything more than just a well-worn set of rules. And that, right there, is the question for the next century.